We are previewing Week 5 in college football here at SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak, and we're talking right now with returning guest Jeff Grant, featured sports betting columnist for the Bleacher Report. Jeff, thanks for being here once again.
Great to be with you, Peter, here in Week 5.
Yes, all right. Now, one game I assigned you is the big Thursday night game, Stanford at Washington. Now, everyone, of course, is wondering about Stanford now that they got that big, some would say unexpected win over USC 2 weeks ago. Now they're a 7-point road favorite at Washington. And, of course, the past 2 years, Stanford has crushed Washington. They beat them by 40 points each year, by more than 40 points each of the past 2 years. Of course, they don't have Andrew Luck anymore, but the win over USC makes you think that this is just as talented a Stanford team. I'm not so sure, though. Their offense isn't quite as explosive as it used to be, so that makes me think that I'm leaning towards the under here at 49.5. I think that Stanford's offense might have a little bit of a comeback to earth against on the road in their first road game, and their defense obviously is great. Washington only put up 3 points against LSU. I'm thinking under 49.5 as a play here. What do you think?
I didn't look too much at the total because I really focused in on what these two teams were going to try to do against each other now that Andrew Luck is no longer in the fold and Josh Nunes has taken over the controls at Stanford. Everybody's going to focus in on the fact that this is his first road start. Their first 3 games took place in Palo Alto. Of course, the upset over the USC Trojans. And you touched on the fact that Stanford really has controlled this series in the last few meetings. The last 2 margin of victories were the biggest in the series history. So you got to kind of figure out what the odds maker is going to do here. The last time Stanford went to Washington, they were an actual 7-point road favorite. That was with Andrew Luck. That was, of course, he was going against Jake Locker, another NFL quarterback. So there's a lot of factors going on here, but I don't think Washington's going to be able to stop Stanford's running game again this year, Peter.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. And they do have the same runner as they did last year, and he put up a ton of yards on them. I mean, I'm just looking at this game, and they crushed them by 40 points over the past 2 years. So even if Stanford is significantly less dangerous than they were, then 7 points, so fine. So if they win by 14, you still get a cover. So you would advocate a play on Stanford as a road favorite. It just feels so much like the USC game. USC seemed like they should maybe be a double-digit road favorite. They lose outright. Here we go again. Stanford on paper. The squares are going to be all over Stanford in this game, but you would advocate a play on Stanford here.
I'm not too sure that a lot of people are going to jump on Stanford in their first road game laying 7 points. That's a significant number in terms of the mentality of a sports bettor, especially when Andrew Luck isn't there. They still haven't, and I haven't forgotten the fact that Andrew Luck is no longer at Stanford. So I think you're going to have a hard time, especially now that the Monday Night Football game was played at CenturyLink Field, and Washington is playing all their home games, where the Seahawks play their home games because their fields get them renovated. So I'm going to look at how Steve Sarkisian has done as a home underdog when they lose. I don't expect Washington to win this game outright. I think Washington's going to actually attract a good amount of money on the money line. I think they're going to get some action on the money line because everybody likes home underdogs in primetime games in college football. You won't hear much about it, but Steve Sarkisian, last 4 losses a home underdog. They failed to cover the spread by an average of over 20 points.
Wow.
And they're outgained on the ground by a 1,134 to 405 margin on the ground. I just don't see Washington ready to make this significant jump in class in the Pac-12 conference.
Wow. So, all right, so I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but it sounds to me like you are advocating a play on Stanford -7.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
All right. Makes sense to me.
On Stanford.
And I am personally, my strong lean is towards the under at 49.5. What do you think about that?
You know what? If it's going to go under, Stanford's going to have to control the game, so I like where you're headed there.
All right. Thanks. Great preview, Jeff.
Thank you.